It's beautiful. She doesn't know we're watching, that every ripple carries sound, every vibration a message. In her world, silence is language, and fear is a rhythm. When the rains come, the forest becomes an ocean. The water rises, drowning trees, flooding nests, blurring the line between sky and stream. For the X-ray Tetra, it's both blessing and curse. The flood brings food, insects, larvae, nutrients, but it also brings chaos. She fights the current, but she's small. Every second, she drifts farther from her kind. For the first time, she's alone. Invisible in the vastness, not by choice, but by nature. The river has eyes everywhere. She knows the rhythm of danger, that sudden stop in the current when something large moves close. Her body trembles, light refracting through her skin. Her transparency, once her shield, now betrays her under the predator's shadow. Survival is a dance with no rules and no mercy. But sometimes, the smallest creatures find a rhythm even the hunter can't follow. After the storm, the world resets. The Tetras gather once more, silent stars in a drifting galaxy. They never speak, they never comfort. But in the way they swim together side by side, there is something that feels like forgiveness. She is fragile, transparent, ordinary, and yet, she endures. In her clear little heart lies a truth we often forget. That sometimes, simply being seen is the bravest thing in the world. The desert has no mercy. It gives nothing for free. Not shade, not water, not time. But in this furnace of dust and wind lives a creature that refuses to give up. The Xerus, small, swift, and fearless. To most, he's just a squirrel. To the desert, he's proof that courage doesn't need claws. His name doesn't matter to him. But if you had to give him one, maybe it would be Tariq, the one who watches. Because every sunrise, while others hide, Tariq climbs to the top of a dune to look at the sky. He can sense danger before it arrives, the silent sweep of wings, the shadow that glides without sound. That tail, fluffy, bright, alive, isn't for decoration. It's a signal, a warning. A shield from the burning sun. Biologists call it tail signaling, a language written in movement and sunlight. But to Tariq, it's more than that. It's responsibility. When the sun becomes fire, the Xerus digs deep. Their burrows stay cool, a fragile sanctuary against a world that burns. But when storms roll in, the desert breathes again. And it also takes. After the storm passed, Nia waited. Hours turned to days. The dunes shifted. The wind erased footprints. But every sunrise, she climbed to the top of the dune just like he used to, and watched the sky. In science, they'll say the Xerus adapted that its behavior increased survival odds. But if you stand here long enough, watch long enough, you'll see something beyond science. A lesson whispered in the wind. Bravery doesn't roar. Sometimes, it just watches the sky so others can live. They called him a guardian of souls. A bridge between the living and the dead. The Xoloitzcuintli, or simply, the Xolo. He doesn't know legends or gods. He only knows the sound of footsteps that never came back. They say dogs forget, but not him. For 3 years, he's returned to this place every night, waiting beside the same door. He used to belong to an old man, a potter, who sang as he worked. His name was Diego. And every evening, he'd whisper, "Stay close, boy. The world gets cold after dark." But one day, Diego didn't come home. People said he passed away in his sleep. The dog didn't understand the words, he only understood absence. They say the Xolo guides souls across the river of the underworld. Maybe that's why he still lingers here, halfway between two worlds. Science says his hairless skin is from a gene FOXY3 that stops hair from growing. But there's no gene that explains faith. He hears the voice, he knows the warmth, but the reflection fades, leaving only ripples. Every day she comes, and every day he stays. Two lonely souls, sharing silence. For the first time in years, he sleeps without waiting. Dreams drift like smoke of rivers, footsteps, and a voice that once sang to him. To science, he's a breed of ancient dog, one of the oldest in the world. To legend, he's a guardian of souls. But to the heart, he's just love that refused to die. And maybe that's what he was meant to guard all along. Not the dead, but the living who forgot how to believe. He still walks to the temple sometimes, but now he he doesn't wait. He only looks toward the river, and then back home. They say the Xolo guides spirits across the underworld, but perhaps, every now and then, he also guides one back. In the heart of the Amazon, where sunlight once painted green cathedrals of leaves, a tiny bird is still singing. Her name is Xenops. She weighs no more than a leaf, but her voice carries the strength of something ancient, something that refuses to be quieted, even when the forest is burning. She once lived in a world of music, the drip of rain, the chatter of monkeys, the hum of insects like endless strings. Science calls her a wood creeper, a bird of the ovenbird family, small, quick, perfectly made to find life hiding in dead wood. Every day, they built their nest with twigs and mud, a home shaped like a tiny oven, warm and safe. And every night, they sang until the stars answered back. It started far away, a human spark, a field cleared for crops, a mistake that grew into hunger. Fire doesn't think, it only eats. And it ate everything, nests, songs, and sky. For weeks, she searched. No songs, no wings, no echoes, only ghosts of trees. And yet, life hides where no one looks. Inside that wounded trunk, termites still move. She eats, she breathes, and somehow, she sings again. Humans return, not to destroy, but to count, to heal. They call her voice evidence of resilience. Maybe science doesn't have words for faith, but sometimes, it listens anyway. She builds again. Not out of what she lost, but out of what still remains. In the ashes of silence, her song is no longer lonely. To humans, she's a data point to nature. She's proof that even after the fire, the feather still remembers how to fly. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If these stories moved you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more content that looks beyond the surface. See you next time. He weighs less than a coin, but his heart beats faster than thunder, 1,200 times a minute. This is Xantus's hummingbird, a creature of color, courage, and silence. To some, he's a spark of beauty. To others, he's a ghost in the storm. But to himself, he's something else entirely. A survivor in a desert that never forgives. The rain didn't come this year. It's not enough to feed the blooms he depends on. But there is no more. The desert has forgotten kindness. In nature, there are no villains, only hunger. But sometimes, hunger looks a lot like hate. When night falls, the air freezes. To survive, he slows his own heartbeat. A trick called torpor, where even life itself pauses to rest. It's not sleep, it's surrender. But it's also faith. That morning will come again. And sometimes, faith is enough. She's been studying the desert's last survivors, the ones who refuse to migrate, the ones who stay when others fly away. For the first time in days, he drinks without fighting. And then, the sky opens. Life returns to the desert like forgiveness. Science says he's Basilina xantusi, endemic to Baja California, a species that almost disappeared, but never did. There are no victors in nature, only those who endure long enough to see beauty rise again. They call him the shadow hunter. But he is not chasing prey. He is chasing hope, and he never misses. She'll leave tomorrow. He'll stay. Because this desert, its scars, its storms, its silence, is his heartbeat. In the waters of South America, there swims a creature you can almost see through. A living ghost of the river, the X-ray Tetra. To most, it's just a tiny fish, but to the river, it's a spark of light that keeps the darkness alive. They move as one, a single body of 1,000 hearts. Their scales catch sunlight and scatter it into rainbows. This one is different. Her body is clearer, her bones more visible. She's called Luma because when light touches her, she almost disappears. Her weakness becomes her shield. Her transparency hides her from death itself. But the river gives and takes. When the rains come, the calm water becomes a storm. Down here, sunlight never reaches. Only silence and the echo of your own heartbeat. Scientists say her bones glow faintly because of refraction, but to her, it feels like a light that lives inside. He's an ancient cichlid, older than the flood, older than fear. Sometimes light is a blessing. Sometimes it's a burden you can't turn off. Her body glows brighter with every stroke. It's not from light above, but from courage within. To the eye, she's almost invisible, but to the river, she's a lantern that never goes out. Biologists say her clarity is for survival. But maybe, just maybe, it's so the world can see the light that hides in fragile things. In the deserts of Africa, where even the wind feels lonely, a little life still dares to run. The Xerus, the African ground squirrel. She doesn't look like much, just a flicker of fur and dust, but in a place that burns by day and freezes by night. Her courage is louder than thunder. Her name is Sori, and today, the desert is crueler than usual. Her tail, her only umbrella. Nature's small mercy against an endless sun. They live by rhythm, run, dig, hide, wait, repeat. In this world, survival isn't strength, it's teamwork. Her stance isn't defiance, it's courage born from habit, the kind you grow when you've had no choice. Their home is under the ground, a maze of tunnels carved by generations. Each passage carries a story. Each chamber holds the scent of survival. She doesn't believe her own words, but hope is a seed that grows best in dry soil. In her world, bravery isn't a roar, it's a heartbeat that says, "Not today." The desert remembers kindness too, and sometimes it gives it back. Science says Xerus are social animals. They share food, warmth, and warning calls. But maybe it's more than that. Maybe they share faith in each other and in the promise that the desert always heals. They are the whisper in the dunes, the heartbeat beneath the silence. Small lives that remind us survival is never lonely when it's shared. There was once a butterfly that painted the air with light, so small you could hold it in your palm. So rare the world didn't notice when it disappeared. The Xerus blue butterfly. They lived here in the dunes of California, their wings shimmering like morning frost. To see one was to believe the sky had learned to land. They mated in silence, fed in peace, and for thousands of years, they needed nothing except sand, flowers, and time. But the world around them began to change. Humans came with dreams of cities, and dreams, as it turns out, are heavy things to carry. Science would call it habitat loss. The Xerus would call it the vanishing. Heat doesn't mean harm. No one ever thinks they do. Perfection doesn't belong in cages. By 1941, the Xerus blue had vanished from every record. The last of its kind was seen near a military base, a blue flicker that no one believed could be the final one. No one saw her fall. But some say the sky glowed bluer that evening, as if it mourned what it had lost. Science calls it extinct. But extinction doesn't mean forgotten. It means the world is still listening, still waiting for the flutter that never came back. And maybe, just maybe, that's all the Xerus ever needed. A promise whispered through generations. That beauty, once seen, is never truly gone. They say the Xerus blue no longer flies. But if you ever stand in the coastal wind and see something shimmer, don't blink. Because sometimes the past still visits us. In color.